is Margaret Everly. Now, maybe you don't know who Margaret Everly is, but we're going to find out in just a minute, because I've known her for a long time. And you can get prettier all the time.
Well, thank you. What a nice thing to say. I appreciate that.
We'll establish, first of all, that I knew you back in Knoxville in the early 50s, when kids were still in school.
Yes, oh, yeah, that's quite a while ago, wasn't it?
It sure was.
Yeah.
Of course, Ike, your husband, and it was, had a guitar. Tell me about the guitar style that he had. Why was it different?
Well, Ike played the thumb-pick style. You know, the Merle Travis and,
yeah,
of course, the Chet Atkins style, you know,
yeah.
Chet. And they played with the thumb-pick and with the three fingers.
Yeah.
And they would make up their own tune, each boy around in Muhlenberg County. You know, I came from Muhlenberg County around Drakesboro, where Merle Travis lived, and there was Mose Rager, and a lot of guitar pickers came out of that place over there.
Yeah. A lot of people wouldn't think, though, that, you know, the trend of music that your son set after these things happened was entirely different than what your background was in the minds of most people.
Well, that gave them that send-off there, that southern background that they had, and with the teaching, I taught them with the guitar, and he would tell them, like, Phil is the harmony singer of the two, and he would show Phil how to harmonize with the note on the guitar.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, it's a funny thing. Their harmony was a little bit different.
Yes.
It wasn't this old standard country one step above the lead.
Well, Phil had you remember they had they used to say old-time alto voice,
mm-hmm.
and that Phil's harmony was on that type.
Right,
because,
and still a little different.
Still a little different.
He came out with a new sound, a new type of harmony.
And they blended so well, because by the time they opened their mouths when they were born, they were ready to start singing, practically.
Well, that was because, and we're going to talk about you. You were a performer also, of course.
Well, I tell you what, I was lucky to get to go along with them, to tell you the truth.
But their talent comes from you and
I hope some of it does.
Yeah.
But
well, I know it does.
We had a duet. My husband and I had a duet, and the boys, they had on our early morning radio program that we started in Shenandoah, Iowa, was started in the late 40s. And we had an early morning show, and we did our own commercials. We did, you remember, you know, you'd sell baby chicks, you'd sell corn medicine, and different sponsors.
Well, you sell 100 baby chicks for $4?
Yes,
like that? Yeah.
Right.
But you had a family show for a while.
Yeah, well, in Knoxville, in Shenandoah, Iowa, we started our early morning shows, and as I said, did our own commercials, and the boys sang duets, and they sang songs like the Bales Brothers, the Delmo Brothers, and a lot of the singing like that, and Hank Williams songs, and Red Foley songs. And then after that show was over, we decided that we'd go to Knoxville, Tennessee, and we got a job with Kaz Walker in Knoxville, Tennessee, and spent about 53 and 54 down in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Kaz is a fine man. He's been instrumental in helping a lot of people make it. In Dolly Parton. Was she there? No, it was a little before her.
Mm-hmm.
You were before her. But now, was Phil and Don, were they talented as kids?
Yes, they sang, you know, as I said, they practically cut their teeth on the microphone, and we had a little we had a little recording machine that we had bought from Montgomery Ward, and we set that up, and they made their little tapes, and they put on their little shows when they were 6 and 8. Well, no, it wasn't tapes.
Disc.
Excuse me, it's little orange disc.
Right.
You're right.
I can tell you the name of the machine.
What was it?
Wilcox Gate.
That's right. And I still got it, too.
Yeah, Wilcox gave a recorder, little disc, and you could do it at home. Everybody had one. It was a hobby.
And that's how they learned.
Of course, Ike was probably in the business before the boys
Oh, yes,
were
he
born.
worked, he worked in Chicago in the tavern. You know that they had the taverns at that time.
Oh, yeah.
And he worked there. And,
Squirrel orchards.
yeah, and he worked on JJD in Chicago,
Yeah.
WJD.
WJD, big station, still is. Was Ike's music, was he a big influence on the boys?
Well, yes, he was the main influence on them, and as I said, he taught them how to harmonize with the guitar and taught them how to play. And by the way, both boys are left-handed, so he taught them right-handed.
Well, now, in the beginning, I know in Knoxville the kids were in high school, but they were just about to grow up and become young men when you left. Do you remember what their ages were in Knoxville?
Well, about 16, 14, and 16. And
Right.
they was in high school there, and they would get, we had an early morning show there and a noon show. So they would go off from school to come down and put on their noon show.
Yeah, at the same time I was on another show called the Midday Merry-Go-Round. And you all worked for Cat. Now, you know, when your kids come up like that, and not very long after that, I know, with Acuff Rose, Wesley Rose, and Boudleaux and Felice Bryant and so forth, just boom out of a clear blue sky. They are monster big.
Well,
I don't mean monsters, but they were big in the business, you know.
It seemed that way, but
They were still kids. Would you say they were normal kids even after their success?
well, yes and no. You know, you're bound to change with your success. You're bound to change when you get out and meet the world, because I often said I wondered if I had fitted them for the outside world. But then I got to thinking, none of us are fitted for the outside world. So we have to learn. So they learned a lot.
You have to go out there and find out what it's all about and get kicked around a little bit. Those kicks are part of the pattern that makes up for what you really are.
Yes.
And what
they
you
learn.
become.
And when you have a strong background, we had a strong family background, real close ties with each other, and that made the difference.
Yeah, you know, now, you worked together as a family for a long time, and then suddenly in the 50s, I'd say around, I don't know what year. What year was it when Phil and Don really got going?
57.
Is that when you decided to break up the family affair and go with the duet?
See, they had broken up. We had broken up in Knoxville because of the job playing out.
Yeah.
And then that's when we went to going to work at something else like barber and beautician. So we brought them to Nashville, and then Chet Atkins was very instrumental in helping the boys get started here in Nashville.